someone actually came to my house because I was having problems with some electrical in our bathroom here, and he just like looked at it for, I don't know, like 10 minutes. I don't know, that moment like kind of flipped a switch in me, the week before, and
Didn't tell me.
I was starting to get a little worried, doubt myself a little bit. I didn't want you guys to know, just in case like I failed. I was like, oh, I'll just be able to like sleep under the rug. It's like not a substitute for experience. So I was good at reading words and listening to videos, but still needed to practice. So I still work for Helix Electric. I work in they call it the BIM department, Building Information Modeling. My boss, I like the way he describes it. It's pretty similar to what I would do in the field, just on the computer.
Welcome to Trades Ready, a podcast dedicated to helping you get ready for the trades with Quality Training Center, your trade school in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of Trades Ready. We got another previous graduate of our electrical program. This is Joseph Anderson, a.k.a. Blue, as I know him. I completely forgot his name was Joseph because I've called him Blue for years. He graduated our electrical program. He went out and started a really great career. I don't want to give you guys too much about it because I'm going to make him tell you here in just a minute. But I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you for taking the time, coming all the way from Pahrump just to be with me here today in Las Vegas in the studio. So thank you so much for taking the time and effort to come see me.
Yeah, of course, right? Thanks for the invite. It's pretty cool, just sharing some of the awesome things that the school's been doing a lot lately with quality.
Definitely.
So, right, I'm excited to be here.
Good. So, Blue is a little bit of a legend kind of at our school because one fun fact is he went out to get his Master Electrician certificate, which in Clark County requires no years of experience. It's really weird. But even after you get the certificate, it doesn't replace experience, but it does prove just how much time you've put in to understand the NEC, the National Electrical Code Book for America, but as well as to understand electricity and what it takes to be an electrician itself. So let's dial back a little bit before class. And how long were you out of high school before you decided to come to a trade school?
Oh man, how long out of high school? At least a decade.
Okay.
I had gotten into just like some other different careers and positions till then.
So what was your goal coming out of high school? A decade. That's a long time to be out of school, and I know a lot of our listeners have either been out of school for a long time or some of them might be graduates. So whenever you got out of high school, what was the dream? What was the goal? Where were you headed?
Yeah, it actually kind of goes full circle to what I'm doing now. So I'm sure we'll get to that.
Awesome.
But when I was in high school, I was doing like a lot of drafting work, a lot of like 3D modeling and things like that. And I was like really excited, really pumped for that. Especially for a lot of people who might be gamers out there, that was like a really cool correlation for me. Like, oh, you're like designing houses and buildings. It's like playing in a video game kind of. So thankfully I found a job like that in Pahrump. So it was really awesome.
Okay, so you started in this digital field of drafting, almost a side of IT in a way, working on computers, creating 3D objects and designing spaces and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. We were creating like 2D and 3D floor plans.
Oh, of houses specifically. So you were already kind of in the trades.
Yeah, it was for apartments.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it was really awesome. It was really fun. So, I felt really good to be able to find something like that in Pahrump, pretty close to getting out of school.
Yeah, especially in a small town, and you found so did you have any training for that, or you just picked up the job right out of high school?
Well, in high school they had the classes and everything, which is what I really enjoyed a lot. There was like, drafting classes.
Oh, so the high school you went to kind of prepared you for it. Was it a magnet school?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So high school actually prepared you for something out in the real world. That's something you don't hear very often, unfortunately. That's cool. So how long did you stay doing drafting before you decided to move on?
So I changed within the company, just like different positions and stuff. So I probably did, the drafting thing for maybe like 5 years. And then there were just other places that I wanted to try out that the company needed help with. So I kind of grew into those different spots. But I did that for, I believe, just over 11 years. And then that's when I typed in, electrical trade schools probably into Google. And I saw you guys.
So you're kind of doing a lot of the back end, not necessarily in the field, but you're seeing what the field is given, like the prints, diagrams, schedules, stuff like that. So you kind of got to see a lot of the back end of electrical, but not necessarily the field side with that job. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
I'd say it's close. So it didn't have to do a whole lot with electrical. It was more like floor plans and architectural-esque.
Okay.
We were drawing up like the walls, the doors, and the windows, and
so more
like
towards the framing side and structurally engineering to make sure it can actually stand up.
Right. So, it was, like you were saying, it had like a little taste of the trade in it, but my main focus, wasn't on electrical quite yet.
So you did it for 11 years, and finally you're like, I've done a lot of these different things on this paper side, on the computer side, and you wanted to get out in the field and be a Sparky.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Awesome. So when you started looking for a trade school, was that you just came up with it on your own? Do you have like a support group that was telling you should take another direction, or was this just your own curiosity?
So during those years, I had like picked up the inkling to become an electrician, become a Sparky. And, I signed up for like various different things, like for the union and apprenticeships and stuff like that. But I guess you could say, like, just kind of waiting for someone to give me that opportunity during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And, there came a time after those years where someone actually came to my house because I was having problems with some electrical in our bathroom. And I didn't know what it was, like what was going on, or I didn't have that knowledge or experience yet. Well, this guy came in here and he just like looked at it for, I don't know, like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, there's the issue right there. Got it all patched up for us. And that, I don't know, that moment like kind of flipped a switch in me. It's like, oh man, I really want to give this another try. Have this practical, awesome skill that, can help me and my family and my friends and everything. And just doing hands-on, I think it was like a perfect time for me to just transition into that.
Oh, that's cool.
Part of my life. Yeah.
So you call a technician, you call in a professional to help you with a problem, and then you watch him and you're just like, I could do this.
All right. Oh,
like,
not yet. I was just like, I want to do that.
You want to do it. Like, it seems he makes it look easy, like a professional should, right? With all their knowledge and experience. So he comes, he fixes your electrical problem in your bathroom, and that just opened up a whole new idea for you. Like, maybe I should do that.
And for like a lot of people, I was definitely like intimidated by electricity, right? You can always get like hurt, or you can always get like a little shock or something, but there's always others.
Nature of electrical, it's just a possibility. It doesn't mean you're going to be severely harmed as long as you do it the right way. Yeah. Odds are slim, but at the same time, we just get a little taste of voltage every once in a while.
Yeah, the issue was, if I recall correctly, the GFCI kept tripping in the bathroom. Like as soon as like any power would come on, it would just like trip it. So nothing downstream was running.
Okay.
So he came over, he like switched out the GFCI with a new one, and it was still tripping. So the next thing he thought was like, okay, I'll just follow it back to the panel. And sure enough, the termination at the panel had come loose, and it was like you were able to wiggle it around.
Bad continuity.
Yeah, and it was like arcing a little bit. And like that was another big part of it, is like, that's like a big problem, right? It could cause like a fire or even more issues down the line.
Okay. So in case you listeners aren't totally familiar with what a GFCI is, that's a ground fault circuit interrupt. And it's actually a safety that prevents worse things from happening whenever the voltage isn't acting right. I don't want to get too technical with it and confuse anybody, but in a nutshell, if the voltage or amperage changes in a wrong way, the GFCI snaps open and kills the circuit for safety. So so was it the GFCI that was bad, or was it just the continuity issue not allowing current to flow properly that was triggering the GFCI?
Yeah, just the continuity issue back at the panel.
So he just tightened it back down and said, you're good.
Yeah, right. He screwed it back. He double checked all the other terminations, and As soon as he did that, flipped the panel breaker back on, the lights.
Ta-da.
Just, it came back up.
That's awesome. And he
Right.
did his due diligence and made sure to check the other breakers. Already
Yeah.
had the panel open. Takes
Right.
him 30 extra seconds to double check all the screws and give you peace of mind while fixing the problem that he found.
Yeah, that was the big thing, right? Like the peace of mind to know that all the other things would be, working correctly. I wouldn't have to worry about them.
Absolutely. So that's
Yeah.
what kind of started your journey is an electrician came to your house, did some work, and you're like, me too.
Right. Like, man, that's cool. I should give that another try. And then,
Cool.
I started looking into it a lot more, and ended up finding the quality, at the time, technical training center.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple names depending on which license you look at, but
Right.
quality training centers is what we're going to hold on to for
Yeah.
now until who knows what's coming down the pipe, but things might change in the future. So
So I still have you as Aaron QTTC in my phone.
Good. Keep me
Right.
saved. Keep me in there. Still part of your resources and network. Once a student, always a student. Not that you necessarily need me at this point, but just so you know, we're still out there for you. So, so when you started looking for trade schools, did you look at several of them? Did you just find us and full send it?
For sure. So I know you're familiar with them. I don't recall their names, but I toured probably like 5, I want to say. And, they're all like acronyms.
Yeah, alphabet soup.
ATI and something.
ATI, NTI, UEI.
LNOP, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to, like I said, I toured a bunch of them, including your guys's. A lot of those other ones for me were either really long or I just didn't get the academic feel from them that I wanted to. I mean, there were some schools that were trying to do 2-year programs, for 4 times the cost.
Yeah,
Right, that's pretty
there.
wild to, essentially be, for me, personally, going to the schools and not getting paid during that time, because I had a job and a family and everything.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that part of a career planning that we've done before is to represent how much does it actually cost to go to a long program, and you have to factor in, of course, the cost of the program. Plus, you're probably got some regular job that's not paying a lot because you're focused on school. So you're missing time in the field. You're spending more money to be in the class compared to our short-term training for a long-term career where you don't really have time to pick up a second job in the meantime. You almost have to start focusing exactly on your career. That way, as you get the training going, your mind's already ready to get out there and start getting paid.
Yeah,
where
go on.
other schools, it's I got 18 months. I can't even look for a job right now because I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so there was quite a few factors that went into it. The location was good for me. You mentioned I was driving out to Pahrump. If we could talk about that too. The time frame, right? That was really good. And another thing along with the time frame is that you guys were offering classes 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So a lot of those other places were only doing a couple days a week. And for me, that just helped me study and learn the information more, because I was getting exposed to it constantly, opening up one of the books back there and reading it. And then, having Loran, who was my teacher at the time, hammering it into my head. So I really like that type of style of learning.
Yeah, it's very.
Helped a lot.
I feel like the fast approach is immersive.
Right.
You can't-
I was able to, be in the electrical field, almost every day of the week.
Yeah, it's kind of different to some other programs where it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you come in like you were saying once or twice a week, maybe
Yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday, and trying to get it, and then you take a week off, and then you come back and have to remember, then you take a week off. So I definitely like what you were talking about, how it's more immersive. You're in it so much and for so long that it almost, that's why I feel like our students pick it up so quickly. That's why by week 4 or 5, they're starting to have professional conversations.
Yeah, that's
because
cool.
how deep it is.
Right. Yeah, another big thing, just going to the school selection was the hands-on portion area of it. I really liked the setup you guys had. I thought it was really unique because you guys had the HVAC portion on one side of the building and the electrical on another side of the building. But of course, the whole building's powered, so we actually ended up, working on like all different sides of the building.
Yeah.
Because we're pulling, the circuits for the HVAC. We're installing the boxes and stuff in the framed area. So that was really awesome.
No, man, that's great.
Yeah,
So you really liked our labs then?
Yeah, it was
Cool.
cool. I like the look out of them. I like the look of them, and what I learned in them.
A little tidbit before I forget, Blue actually did a video for us back when he was still in class.
That was cool.
And he did a little Vanna White presentation, just to be funny, of our motor controls, wiring up a conveyor with timers and indicator lights and pull stops.
Yeah.
And man, he killed it with a one-take wonder. If you guys are interested in that, check out our Instagram page for sure, because I'm pretty sure it's mixed in with all of our content. You might have to scroll a little further back,
Right,
but
that'd be cool. Maybe you clip it in here.
you might not recognize him though, because he had hair much longer than it is now.
That's another story too.
Yeah.
That was nice. I think now
want to dive
that I'm
into
back,
that.
I might try to grow it out again. We'll see
Thinking
what
about
happens.
it? Well, now that you're kind of moved up out of the heat, to give you guys a little teaser,
Right?
It's a little easier to start growing stuff out when you're not
for sure.
out there getting beat by the sun.
Yeah, and I think that, well, I know for me personally, that was like a big highlight of the class, was getting into the motor portion of it. So that was really fun to make the video, really fun to, be in the team with, my other students.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great time.
So as you're, let me.
I wanted to mention,
Okay.
for those other schools, I would definitely recommend touring all those places, because there was a couple places that tried to just get you signed up like as quick as possible, especially online or over the phone. And a couple of those facilities I visited, they're definitely not, I would say, up to par for like a nice teaching environment. I don't know, they were like kind of run down, or, maybe the teachers weren't really that focused on, giving you the knowledge that you needed.
Okay.
So that was really awesome to be able to go into each school, and including your guys', to talk with the staff and just check out the facilities and everything that's going on.
Well, that's great to hear from the admin staff all the way to the instructors. We need a good learning environment. You got to have a comfortable place for people to come and not be too stressed. And everybody's got their life going on. It's an adult trade school, so most people have a job and a family or bills, other responsibilities. So we definitely don't want the kind of environment where people can't come to learn. Too much distraction, too much stress, too much this. I mean, it's definitely a serious thing. We got to be safe. But at the same time, why can't we have this more of a family feel, letting people get to know people better? We can start building better relationships. And then now you're more comfortable to ask questions. You're more comfortable to make a mistake and learn from it, rather than feeling like, oh, if I mess this up, I'm going to be in trouble. It's like,
Right?
Failure is one of the greatest teachers, in my opinion, because you tried and you've learned why it didn't work. And just like I think I've mentioned maybe in a previous video, Einstein said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. So it's still good information, because these won't work and why. So why is that negative?
We definitely found lots of ways that electricity doesn't work.
And we're still using those good ways to this day.
It still helps a lot.
So as you're encouraging everybody, go do your research, look at different schools, and for sure pick the one that's right for you. If we're a good fit, I'd love for everybody to be a good fit, but everybody's got a little different learning style. That's why I don't like discrediting any education at all. So some people might be good going to CSN and doing a 2-year program, going way deeper than any technician really needs into the nitpicky stuff. But if that's your learning style, or if you value that extra information, sure, CSN might be a good fit. But if you're a hands-on, true blue-collar individual and you need the experience to understand, then that's exactly why we want to offer things the way that we offer things to everybody. So I'm glad
cool. It got me up and running, and kept me running too.
Yeah, you're still going.
So it's awesome. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned that you like build relationships there too, and I still talk to a few of those guys there.
Oh, from your class?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys still got a group chat going?
Yeah. So I don't know if you recall Ashvin, and then there was George, and I don't quite remember her name. She was like the Hawaiian girl. She's pretty funny.
Oh, I'm bad with names. I can picture who you're talking about, but I can't
And every
remember
time
her
I
name
call,
right now.
I'm like, "Oh, what's up, Tia?" But it's,
Yeah, which we have Tia's mom now,
right.
Donna. So you're not far off.
Right.
That's good. So definitely do your research, look at some things, and pick the right school, and definitely give us a try. Come in, do a tour, see our labs, and do a career planning session. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word session. And see if it's a good fit. Sometimes we can help those, well, I can't because, well, sometimes the
Right.
team can help you think differently. And then you're like, oh, maybe I can do this after all. And then sometimes these podcasts can help people get motivated and be like, oh, if that guy can do it, I can do it too.
That's
It's
cool.
like,
I'm
absolutely.
feeling pretty motivated about it, being invited here.
Yeah, every time I talk to you, you're just all smiles, just excited to talk about electrical, the school, life, whatever. You're always just a
Right.
cheerful dude.
It's fun.
We've done our tours, and you've picked quality because you like the academics of it, you like the labs, you like the environment, the people you
Right.
get to talk to. So, did you have any expectations from that as you were going into class?
Expectations.
Like, maybe this is what I think electricity is, and then you found it differently, or I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing this kind of stuff, and then, yeah, we actually ended up getting to do that. Did you have anything that you were looking forward to, or just like, this is one thing I need to get out of this school, and I hope I get it? Did you have any ideas like that?
No, I didn't really have. I guess maybe I just didn't know what to experience,
Okay.
like what I was getting into. I had expectations that I want to be, working with wires, I guess, and hooking things up to wires.
So like a hands-on expectations. I expect to actually be doing stuff.
Right, and that
Okay.
was, one of the big reasons for touring the places too.
For
I guess
sure.
a lot of things I had in mind was just, I would say it was similar to our four-way switch lab. Is, trying to figure out like where the circuit goes at each point, to follow the electricity around.
Yeah,
And that
power
was
goes
just like
here.
a big
What does
like
it do?
mind opener, or whenever flip the switch, how the electricity travels through a different path.
And you
But it
actually
still
understand
turns
it
on.
now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it was magic before, but now it's actually pretty simple.
Right, it's cool. And I was also expecting a lot of book work, because I had just read, for when to take the test, that like it was a pretty big book test to take. So I think I was expecting a lot of that too.
For the NEC or for the textbook? The actual book you read and did homework out of?
The textbook,
Okay.
But that ties like so closely to the NEC.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Right.
It really needs to meet code, so
Yeah.
absolutely glad to hear that. So most of your expectations, it seems, was you expected to be able to do hands-on things, get the experience, and actually do it. Which you feel like you got a good amount of that while you were going through the program?
I guess one of the expectation I had then is to be able to like finish the school, and then jump into an electrical position afterwards.
Yeah, so your biggest expectation was where you wanted the school to put you at whenever you go to the job field. Like, when I
Right.
graduate, this is what I expect to be capable of.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So how did you feel doing the hands-on portion? Do you feel like there's enough of it? Do you think there was too much, too little? What's your take on your experience going through?
I think it was a good amount at the beginning, and of course it's like a little slower, I guess. You're kind of trying to like build the book knowledge, my knowledge about electricity and what it is and what it can do. So don't be like discouraged when you start that at the school, because then you really start to get into some, cool things shortly after. Especially there's like a part of it and with everyone where it just like all of a sudden clicks. Like, oh, that's why the black wire goes there.
Light
That's why the white
bulb.
wire goes there. Yeah, you turn on your own internal light bulb with it, right?
Pun intended.
Right. You're
Absolutely.
like, oh, that's why I got shocked. Things start making
Oh, duh.
more sense.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then it just like got more and more enjoyable from there.
Cool. It's definitely a little bit of a yin and yang. You got to start out theory heavy, both
Yeah,
HVAC and
exactly.
electrical. We got to understand what we're messing with, terminology. What is voltage anyways? What is electricity anyways?
Right.
Let's talk about that before you actually start lighting things up. But do you think you guys get a little hands-on in the first 2 weeks? Capacitors, meters,
Yeah, we
resistance,
did,
amperage.
definitely. That was pretty cool too. We got the tests, the capacitors, and the resistors and stuff.
So even deep in the theory,
yeah, I
you
remember
feel
he
like there's
brought
little
out, 'cause
teasers
those are like, the
hands-on.
resistors are like really small, right?
Yeah,
They got
those
our little
color-coded
probes.
ones, those,
Yeah.
which you don't see very much out in the field, but understanding
No.
resistance and knowing how to read those things can definitely be beneficial.
And I guess from what I recall, Southern Nevada has like a specific amendment in the code book for the resistors.
Nice. Oh,
Like that color coding Loran made us remember.
for sure. You know that book way better than I do
Okay.
at this point. I know that for sure because I'm pretty sure you have to go back to it pretty often.
Yeah,
Just to make sure
definitely.
and that's never a bad thing at all. The NEC is not something that you guys are supposed to really memorize in the first place. Codes change,
Right.
things adapt, and I mean that's almost an encyclopedia. Like you're not gonna read the whole thing and memorize it, but it's important to know we got to go back and do research before we ever show up on the job to make sure we dot our I's, cross our T's, P's and Q's, all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, it changes every 3 years, so definitely want to stay
Does
up on top of it as much as you can.
Does Pahrump follow Las Vegas when they adapt? Because I know Las Vegas picked up to 2023 like a year ago, very late, but they adapted. They were on the 2017 for so long, so they skipped the 2020, and then they picked up the 2023 in like 2024, almost 2025. So does Pahrump also adapt like Las Vegas, or do they pick up the next code book as it drops?
I'm not sure what code cycle they're on right now, but
Okay.
since they're in a different county, it can be different. It's a good question. Maybe I'll have to double check with some people or the building officials out there.
Nothing
what's
you've
going
run
on.
into yet, though.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the 2017 is what we were on. This one right here, yeah, and I was what I tested on.
Yeah.
When I was going to school with you guys. Yeah, then January this year, Clark County switched over to 23 with their amendments and everything too.
Little bit of a funny story. So week 9, I just remember it like it was Wednesday. So this is gonna sound like a weird thing. I'm gonna be
Right,
very
this is
specific. But week 9 of your class, it was a Wednesday, and I come walking in to talk to your instructor. I believe it was Ricky at the time,
Right.
and I know you had a little bit of Loran and Ricky as schedule changes and people have days off and stuff, but that can be good because you get different perspective from 2 different instructors, and Loran's teaching style versus Ricky's is very different.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was really cool to be able to have them sub in for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So some people they don't want a different instructor, but I encourage everybody no, that's a new opportunity to pick a new brain and get a new perspective. So take them in.
He's explaining the same subject and different words, different style.
And sometimes for me,
and
that's what I needed to get my
Right.
aha. I hear what you're saying, but I don't. For me, if I can't picture it with my mind, my hands can't follow. So it's you're not creating a picture for me, but he said it just a little bit different, and all of a sudden, I've got a full diagram in my head, and I'm ready to go.
Then 2 people are painting that picture for you, right?
Yeah,
It comes
so you
together.
get the opposing contrast of perception, and that's how you get a 3D image in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just having linear, I now have a full image of, this is what it actually needs to look like, and then I can definitely follow through. So Blue comes in, or he's already in class. It was his class. I came in, and I'm talking to Ricky, and Blue says he's got some questions for me. And absolutely, I'm here for the students. And he asked me what I would do to study if I was going to go get my journeyman or master electrician certificate
right.
in Clark County. And immediately I gave him the spiel. I pulled out the study guide that we suggest people using. I can't remember the name of the author, but he's a really solid guy when it comes to this particular subject and the study material. I really like the way he's done it. Lots of practice tests. So I'm telling Blue, this is the book I would use. Read this, do some practice questions, see how you do, and then do another section, and you'll slowly see yourself get better, and that's going to build knowledge, that's going to build confidence. I'm trying to break down a study session. He's like, you want my opinion? Here it is. And he's like, okay, well, thank you for that information. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
And what did you
really
do?
Appreciated the advice.
A little too late, my
Right.
man, because you went right out and took the test that afternoon.
Right. I believe I scheduled it, the week before, and
Didn't tell me.
I was
Completely
like,
blindsided.
right?
He wasn't going to give me that tidbit, but he wanted my advice before he went and took the test.
Right. It was
Not that it was going to help you at this point. So why did you come ask me that if you didn't need that information?
I was starting to get a little worried, doubt myself a little bit. But it was also like nervous because I didn't want you guys to know, just in case like I failed. I was like, oh, I'll just be able to like sweep it under the rug.
So if you didn't pass, you weren't going to tell me?
No, I don't know. Maybe later. Maybe on my second try, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've already taken it.
Just come in. Oh yeah, that was the first try. Don't bother.
Right.
So
It was a practice
So now
try.
I have to ask: was it actually your first try?
It was
Okay.
my first try. Yeah, I was
Okay.
like, I'll get some last tips. Maybe, I'll do some extra studying advice, that you provided tonight. But yeah, actually, no, I wouldn't have been able to study that night. I'm pretty sure I went to the testing.
Oh, so it wasn't Wednesday you took the test. You went the next morning.
No, I think it was Wednesday evening.
Okay, so there was a sliver of a chance for you to use
Right.
any advice I could have given you.
Right.
That's so funny to me. But we got you on record now. You said that was the first time. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I was definitely feeling it. That's great. So 9 weeks in, huh?
Yeah. That was definitely just, I never expected it. Like 9
Yeah.
weeks, I feel like that talks volumes of your work ethic, of your study habits, of your focus, and the devotion you'd already given to your own career before you even got paid for it. You were paying to come to the school, and you were already so deep in it that
Yeah.
I feel like for you there was no other option. Like you showed up and you're like, this is what I do. I don't know how, but this is what I do. And then you just did it.
Yeah, well, I touched on this a little before. The textbook follows the NEC so closely, and the test revolves, 100% around the NEC. So I felt like we were, studying for the test already. And, a lot of people in the class, and even now, ask me, how I did that or what I did to study and prepare. And one of the things I always recommended to the other students is, every time we were reading the textbook and it references the NEC, our textbook was very good about sifting between the stuff that is, actively used in current times, right? Because the NEC spans, like decades of electrical knowledge.
Yeah, it's a living document,
Right.
for sure.
So our textbooks, is trying to make us focus on the stuff that's most widely used right now. So anytime it would reference anything about the NEC, I would open that page up and, check out the exact verbiage or look around in the neighboring sections and, highlight things like that.
So you were getting reps in early.
Yeah, that was nice.
So did you start that the moment you cracked the textbook, or did that come a couple weeks in?
Yeah, probably like a weekend when I got a physical one. It was just like a lot easier for me personally to do that. Have the textbook right there and then the physical NEC.
Yeah, some people
there.
like the digital and they just gonna throw it on their phone, throw it on a
Right.
tablet or computer, and they can do that way. I'm a little old school myself. I prefer hard concrete things to deal with, and then books and papers. I'm that guy that's got everything laid out.
Right.
I'm okay. This this
That whole
and
board
flip to
tied
here.
together with all this string.
Yeah, I don't do the whole yarn thing, but I definitely love the
That's
in
what-
my face. I'm a visual person, so having actual things in front of me definitely helps me with my thought
Yeah.
process.
That's what the test feels like. And having that physical book is definitely encouraged because at least when I took the test, they let you bring that in with you. It's like an open book test for the journeyman or masters.
I'm pretty sure it still is.
License, right.
I know they're
So
super
you're not going to be able
strict
to do
about it.
that with like a PDF or, like an online resource.
Yeah, unless you want to go to FedEx and have it printed, but
Yeah,
they're
right,
going
I
to look
guess you
at
could
you a little different when you bring that document in because they don't know if you've doctored it or not. So having the book itself is huge and
Yeah.
crucial. And I know they let you do your tabs. So
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
section the book out to help you work through it faster. I know that was one of the first things you did is throw tabs in yours.
Right, for sure. And then the tabs, you got to make sure they're down in there really good. So I got sticky notes. I cut them up and put them on there. And then I actually put more tape on top of it because I had read online that they check to make sure those are like, semi-permanent tabs.
Yeah, if they pull it and a slip of paper comes out, then
right, you're in trouble.
Boy, that looks bad, don't it?
And if they pull it off, they just throw the tab away. So.
Yep. Oops, wasn't secure.
Right.
Here's your book back. Good luck on your test.
Yeah,
I needed that one.
All right, that would have been a good one.
So good advice there for you guys in the future. Keep that little tidbit that, you can put the regular tabs in that are structured for articles and the subsections and everything, but you can also take those sticky notes, make other tabs for specific things, because I'm trying to step on your story a little bit, but I remember you telling me that you put those tabs in because you felt like those were important and they were more direct than the overall regular tabs.
Right, exactly.
And then you put them in the book and you added a little extra tape. That way they were semi-permanent.
Yeah, make sure they couldn't be pulled out. So the tabs I put in, the tabs that you usually buy online take you to, different articles in there. Like there's like a 240 tab, and that takes you to like the general article for grounding. But if you want to know like one specific thing about grounding, maybe the size grounding electrode conductors, you put it in your own personal tab, and when you get that question on the test, you can open like right to that.
Do you think that was you used those tabs? Was that very beneficial during the test?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually had 3 sets of tabs that I utilized. So the ones that you can like come with the book or order online that, mark out the articles for you, article 100, 200, 300. And then I made my own custom ones for specific pages I really liked. I did this a lot with calculations, so I made like a tab for like residential calculations or like washer and dryer calculations. And then my third set of tab was actually for the index. That's really helpful because, just like you mentioned earlier, you're not going to memorize NEC. It's not really something that was intended to be memorized. I mean, the handbook's like over 1,200 pages or something.
It's thick.
Yeah. So there are things that you just look up, and that's where you can go to the index. So I put on at letters that had a lot of words filed under them. There's like a whole bunch of words filed under C. So I put a C tab. That way you get right to the C. Instead of getting to the start of the index and then having the flip, like, okay, well, there's the A's, the B's, the C's. Now I'm in C.
So you dissected this book very, very differently than I've seen anybody else chop this up. And you got tabs on the top of the book. You got tabs coming down the long
those are my calculations. Those are the standard article tabs. And then the bottom's the index ones. That way I didn't get them lost, like inside each other.
Yeah, my mind says just start cramming the right side because monkey see, monkey do. Every time something's labeled, whether it's a 3-ring binder, Webster's Dictionary, the old encyclopedias used to have those little finger tabs that you could switch quickly, So my mind goes to that, but you were like, no, this book has 2 other sides to use.
Right.
And boy, did you chop it up.
1,200 pages, I can put a lot of tabs on there.
And they're so well organized. Right. So
they do get beat up a little, though,
of course.
Bags and bookshelves. But.
Yeah, and you use sticky notes, which isn't like a super sturdy paper, so you might want to swap out for cardstock or something eventually.
It's a good idea.
You got any outline for your tabs that we could potentially share with other students to give them ideas on how to chop that book in a way to make it dissectable and better usage? Do you have anything like that?
I would just relate back to the textbook that I was using with you guys. A lot of the things that were brought up in there or that I felt Loran spent a lot of time on discussing.
Okay.
I would tab out. So the big ones would be like the calculations, right? Because that stuff is just one of those things that's really difficult to remember.
Especially if you come across something a little bit of a monster and you find a good article for it or a good tab, then write that one down and put a sticky on it.
Calculations, tables are a really good one to tab out. You're not going to remember when you're taking a test, what you can derate 14 dishwashers at for a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
So you're going to like go to your tab like, oh, okay, there's my, commercial loads right there.
Just follow the chart, add the numbers, pick the right equation.
Yeah, so Yeah, I've given the advice on taking the test to a lot of people, which feels really cool, really nice to like help people out.
I mean, the way
But,
you just killed it, I feel like there's a lot of advice that I've heard from what you've done that I've tried to pass on to other students.
Yeah,
Like,
that's awesome. That's
this
great.
was his approach. You know, no one's done it as fast as you in our program. Several others have done it after graduating.
Yeah, and that's like honestly probably the best time, the perfect time to take it.
Yeah.
The knowledge is just like
You've gone
fresh right in
through
your
the
mind.
whole book. I believe
Yeah, exactly.
ours is 18 chapters, and it covers everything from basics all the way into hazardous locations, pools, spas, all of that. So I know we cover all 18 chapters, so it's a lot of great information, and I feel like that's another reason that our instructors, because we didn't necessarily pick this. When I built the program with Loran years ago, we never put this much into the code. Like, we had homework for the code. So we definitely have the code in. I don't mean to say that it was added later. It was 100% because know and understand and know the code. Those are the two homeworks everybody does.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a real focus towards the journeyman or the masters until Loran was like, we're already knee deep in this. He found out there's no time requirements. Sweeten the resume. Let's give them a little bit of a challenge and give them something to aspire to or rise. And then, hey, look, not a lot of guys out there bothered to get these. I mean, if you've been out there for 5 years and you're a well-paid electrician, do you really need the certificate? Not necessarily. Can it look good on you? Absolutely.
100%.
Some jobs might require it depending on where you go work, of course. But at the same time, that's why not a lot of people have it, is because it's not necessarily that requirement, but it's a huge achievement. So that's another thing I want to get to here in just a minute, is what you went and did with that after.
Oh, yeah.
So that was week 9. I know we kind of did this whole offboarding side story, but I just think that's just a huge piece.
Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting. Really, just go in there and be like, hey, what's your advice for taking the test?
Come back the next day.
I literally came back the next day. I was like,
had the paper.
I don't remember who I told first. I was like, oh, check this out. Look what I did. I was trying to be so nonchalant about it.
It was either me or Ricky. I don't remember who. But I remember when you showed me, the cat was out of the bag.
Right.
Yeah, I was all over it. I was like, I got to tell this to people. I got to show this to people. So maybe I need to be the last guy you need to tell when you don't want people to know.
It's all right. I think that was really awesome to share.
Oh,
right. I attributed
was so
that to
excited
you guys.
for you, man. That's why, especially 9, and you're like, yeah, I just read the book and I did the NEC along with the book, because you read deeper in. You read future chapters before you actually got to them in class, right?
Yeah.
So you still got the full picture, even though you hadn't done the lecture or any hands-on for it. You dove in and said, I'm just going to take the whole book right now.
And something else that helped me a lot, because you mentioned I lived in Pahrump, so I had just over an hour commute.
Oh man.
There and back. That was another big thing about choosing your guys' place, right? You offered morning classes. So for me, that worked really well. I drove in the morning, I drove back, and then I was able to, continue working in the afternoon, evening.
Yeah.
At the normal job. But on those drives, the hour-long time, I would listen to videos about the code. So that was really helpful. That helped me like brush up on my calculations, and because there are like a few things you can memorize, especially like really common things that you can like lock into your head. Maybe like supporting distances. You gotta put a strap 3 feet away. Things
12
like
inches
that.
out of the box, 36 inches thereafter.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
So just like reinforcing those calculations and tables and to tab them and stuff in the book.
So you didn't see the hour drive necessarily as an inconvenience. You took it as an opportunity to just get more.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And that helped a lot, I would say. Because essentially, like 2 hours that I would spend like studying, right? Mm-hmm. Just listening to it. Usually, I would open up YouTube. I would not watch it while I was driving. But I would just have like the audio playing. Besides, the person usually talking is usually just standing there flipping through the book too.
Right. Yeah. Not much to look at. They might show you the article,
right.
But it's, as long as you hear what they're saying, you don't necessarily need to read it, because most of the time they're going to reiterate it anyways. Well, it clearly states when that's what actually means is this is all they're trying to say, man. This is what you need to do. So that's awesome.
Yes, that was cool. And then I looked up what you could bring into the test. I mentioned you could bring the code book. The Uglies, it's this little handbook. This thing's small too. It's like all tabbed out also.
The Uglies handbook, or I think it's called the handbook. Uglies handbook. It is
We're not
pretty
sponsored
much
by them.
no, no, we're not sponsored by anybody right now. But the Uglies handbook, in my opinion, is the one book that you are allowed to take on the job site.
Right. Yeah, it's like a miniaturized NEC. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Don't bring the NEC, because if they're paying you to do the work and they look over and you're sitting there with a book,
Oh, no, flipping through their face.
they're gonna be a little concerned. Like, what am I paying you for? To read? Like, I thought you were gonna work on this. So maybe the Uglies handbook as a quick reference for things in the field, but don't lug around your NEC in your tool bag.
Right.
Do that research before
I did
you
have
show
the
up,
NEC in my my bag too, so
just in case.
yeah, I would open it up once in a while.
Did you
double check on
really?
Stuff. Right, for sure. Yeah, it's really quick, convenient.
Maybe every once in a while, but don't be sitting there reading for like an hour and a half on the job site. Unless that's just what you're supposed to do. But most of the time, you should have that knocked out. Show up with tools and
already start
materials.
working.
yeah, ready to kick it off.
Yeah, but once I figured out I had those 3 things to be able to utilize on the test, that's when I started just like put a bunch of emphasis on how I could, make them work for me. And the main thing I took from that is just like tabbing it, putting tabs on everything I could to help out.
And you definitely tabbed it.
Yeah, because that test, the master's one, it was 100 questions, I believe 5 hours. So that's like about 3 minutes per question.
Oh, that's heavy.
So you really, even the journeyman, I think is still about 3. It's like 80 questions for 4 hours, 3 minutes per question.
So roughly the same.
Yeah, so you really got to eliminate the amount of time that you spend, I guess like not searching for the answers, flipping through the book.
Which is exactly where your tabs come in clutch.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was cool. Man, and it's like going through airport security to get into that place, right? They like patted me down, wand me and everything.
Oh, man.
Check your pocket. Make sure you only have those 3 things, right?
Yeah. I know they're super strict. You can't get this by cheating. Right. And if you got it by cheating, then I guess you earned it, because they are tight. Even I've talked to some people that did the online version, and they have to take the camera off and show them specific things in the room, and they have to stand up and show, and they have to empty their pockets and show the book and pull on this for me. And like, I was just like, so how long did it take to even get to the test if they're running you through air source security?
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a cool experience though. Like coming back to show you guys.
So did you feel like you needed the program anymore after you got that in week 9?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's good.
Right, you said, and I 100% agree, it's like not a substitute for experience.
100%.
So I was good at reading words and listening to videos, but I still needed to practice.
But at least you can have the conversations. Yeah. Application itself is, I think, always different. Like, even if you look at instructions, you need to do this, and then when you really do it, I feel like it's never exactly like they got a perfect picture of someone doing something, and you're like, this doesn't even fit. So definitely huge experience, and then taking that knowledge and transposing it into what it actually looks like, concrete, 3D, in real life. That's awesome. So you move into week 10. You're doing motor controls.
Right, start up that lab. Yeah, that video was pretty fun. It was like a little competition you guys set up for our last
separate teams.
You're right.
It's definitely the critical thinking. Not everybody gets to completely finish it, which once a student, always a student. If you aspire for that, if that's your drive, is to accomplish that challenge that we give you at the end of the program, then definitely come back and you can keep working on it. But for class time, very strong critical thinking. You got to take pretty much everything you've learned up to this point, not necessarily everything, but most of it, and start applying it in a way to complete the circuits, add parallels and series in the right spots, do safeties and indicators, and then the motor wiring itself, not just to give it power, but also direction. And definitely not everybody finishes it, but we do create the teams. And then everybody gets their challenges, and they're all the same challenge. And you got to go draw everything before
that
you
was
can
fun,
wire it. How'd you like that experience? I know you said you were excited for it.
Yeah, it was quite the maze to navigate through. I remember I struggled at the beginning with how like contactors and the relays worked, and it was just like tough for me to visualize or grasp that, you know, you put wire in here and then, you know, power comes out this other way and sends it down there, and then when like that power energizes, it de-energizes this one. So that took me a little bit to get going, but you know, just with your guys' help, we were able to get it together, and it turned out really sweet. I don't know what it is about it. I mean, I guess take it for granted every day, flipping the light switch on in your house, right? Turns on and off. But like whenever you push that button just to cycle those motors on, it just felt like really accomplished.
Oh yeah,
to do that.
I love those labs. I think they're so exciting. You push a button and you know you started the domino effect.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for each domino. And just like with dominoes, there's always that one every once in a while that falls funny or doesn't fall at all, and it throws off everything. And then you guys are like, well, why didn't it work? Well, why?
What happened?
How come my stop doesn't stop? How come my start isn't starting? Why doesn't my pull stop when I do the safety pull stop? Like, and then you have to go back, reorganize your dominoes, get them in place, and then start at the beginning, push that
check
button.
Check your drawing
again.
over again.
So you had a lot of fun with that?
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely seemed like it from my perspective. Again, I strongly suggest if you guys are interested in electrical, if you want to see exactly what we're talking about, look to our Instagram page. I know that video is on there.
That's cool. I'll have to check out again, too.
Yeah, and you were so articulate with it. So I feel like anybody watching would, in layman's term, understand what's happening. Maybe not the electrical side of things, but when you're like, and this is supposed to happen, and then this is supposed to happen, and then it's just like happened. So like your timing was on point. So I think if anybody's interested, and then of course always go look at our Instagram page as well. But look for the guy with long hair though. He doesn't have short hair, so look for Blue with long hair.
Quite a change.
But I still love that video because it was a one-shot wonder. You just did it once, everything worked out, it was great, and then we were done. I was like, wow, that was really impressive. So I gotta give you props for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Even with all this video stuff I'm doing, I don't think I've done anything quite as smooth as you did right there, dude.
How many takes do we get on this one?
I guess as many as we need because Trevin's back there, and give a little shout out to the guy behind the camera that never gets talked about. We got Trevin Angulo back there, and he always makes sure we look good.
Yeah, thank you.
Him and his team definitely do some great editing for us, and they got great quality videos, and of course this beautiful studio we're in. So definitely a little shout out to you, Trevin, back there hiding in the dark.
Yeah, it's a cool setup. I remember when we were recording that video, I believe Tia, just had her phone out, following me around while I was talking.
Yeah, most of our early stuff was done on phones, which isn't horrible for like Instagram and stuff. It works out, but we definitely have nicer cameras for this bit here.
I think it helped a lot too because I felt we had completed the lab and we were like tinkering with it, kind of just seeing what we could like break ourselves and fix and stuff. So we felt pretty comfortable with it when we recorded the video. So I felt really comfortable, talking about how things worked and what they did and stuff like that. So it was really fun. So
the transition from intimidating to, no, I got this.
Yeah, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, a video. We could do a video.
Yeah, and most of the time we ask the students, hey, anybody want to display this? We're going to make you Facebook famous. We're going to put you on Instagram. We're trying to show people. And then it's just like crickets. Mum's the word. Like, no, nobody's bold. Nobody's ready. But I know when we asked your class, it was yeah, sure, I'll do it. Just so easy. He's just ready for it. That was awesome.
That's a lot of fun.
So moving through, you got that Masters 9 in week 9. You moved through, absolutely dominated motor controls and that great video. And then you punched out to the field. So after graduating, you went back to Pahrump.
Yeah,
Did you already have your eyes on something, or did you go out there and start fresh after graduation?
I believe I had applied to a bunch of places just online before the school ended. And then when the school ended, like I went to all these places in person in Pahrump, handed them like my paper application and talk to them, see what's going on and everything. And then that was about 2 weeks, I believe, before I got a call back from someone. Yeah, for me, I feel like that was pretty quick. Now, I wasn't really sure what like the market was, the job market was like out there.
Especially in a smaller town.
Yeah, right.
Almost like not to say anything bad or put a negative light at all, but smaller towns just have less opportunities. I come from a town that's 26,000 in Oklahoma, and that's part of why I left, is because the opportunity is you're waiting for someone to kick the bucket, you're waiting for someone to retire, you're waiting for someone to really mess up and get fired, and then there's one opportunity and everybody in town wants it.
Right, and that job spot opens up.
But in 2 weeks, you already got a call back.
Yeah, and it was a different experience than when I was applying to places in Las Vegas too, right? So yeah, right after school, I kind of I think I took a few days off work to apply in Las Vegas. I was just driving around I pretty much typed in electrical contractor in Google, and I was like, okay, I'll go see these 8 people on Monday. I'll go see, these 7 people on Tuesday and everything. So that was kind of like a fun experience too. I guess I got to talk and meet a lot of people. There's so many different companies out there. But yeah, the first place that called me back was one in Pahrump. So it was real awesome. I liked those guys. Yeah, 2 weeks, I was like, wow, this is cool,
It sounds like you did the blue collar approach too. You didn't go online and spam out a bunch of resumes and wait for a call back. You took your career in your own hands. You drove it down to whatever business. You got face to face with people.
Yeah.
You started handing out paper resumes, creating an event. And that's one thing I strongly encourage a lot of people. If you get the opportunity, if you can create the opportunity, in person is a memory. Working as an academic director in an office, I don't know how many phone calls I get a day, and they're just voices in my head half the time. And then I hang up, business is done, hang up, I've moved on. And then you start to forget those voices because there's so many other things you got to do in a day.
Right, get really busy.
Yeah, but our tours that come in, the postman when he comes in, FedEx, all these other different businesses that I have to talk to face, I can recall those. I'm going to remember those interactions. But stuff on the phone, 45 seconds, yes, no, have a nice day. Oh, thank you so much, bye. Click.
Or like a handshake,
and then you move on.
A lot more
memorable.
And
the handshake, absolutely. The old reliable. A lot of people, I know there's still some people out there that handshake is going to tell them a good idea of what they're looking for before you get started. And if it's a nice, solid handshake, we're not trying to... It's not a contest. That's about the nicest way I could put it. We're not trying to crush fingers. You don't have to be the tough guy, but nice, solid, firm handshake. Eye contact is, in my opinion, very important. I hate when you go to shake someone's hand and they just look away. It's
oh, no.
This wasn't important enough to finish a 2-second handshake.
Right.
Like, okay, it just starts making you wonder what they're thinking. Like, yeah, sure, nice to meet you. It's like, okay, I'm a waste of time all of a sudden. It feels like
they're ready to go.
Yeah, how do I get your attention now? The handshake was faulty. Like, if I really need to create an event right now, how am I going to get this guy's attention all of a sudden? So I know that can be something very important that you won't get on the phone. And your face.
Yeah.
A lot of people remember a face before they remember a name.
Right. Back then, I had the long hair too, so maybe that was a little strange in the trades.
Kind of came in looking like a little bit of a hippie, and they're like, this guy wants to do electrical. You just didn't quite line up with the appearance for sure. Not that really matters at all, but I know that's definitely a perspective people have had.
Well, something else that really made me stood out was the master's certificate license. It was like a conversation starter, I would say. Because I remember, like, everyone mentioned it. They would be like, oh, it says on here, like, your license. How long have you been doing electrical? Like, I don't know, 0? Right? I'm looking to get started. They're like, how did you get your license and everything? Or they would be, like, super skeptical about it. Like, yeah, your license. Yeah, like, let me see that. A couple of people were like, let me see. And then I remember... a couple companies called me and be like, do you actually have your master's license? And like that's the first thing they said to me.
Is this real? Because if no, I'm hanging up.
Right, I was like, yeah, but I immediately followed up with, but I don't have any infield experience and I'm looking to get started.
Which I think is the best way for approach. Don't try to look like you're the know-it-all. Don't try to flex on guys that can really put you under a bridge if you're going to go head-to-head with these guys. Like, they've been out there. They're faster than you're ever going to be right now because they've got the experience. They've got the time. Their hands are muscle memory for different things, dexterity and hand strength. All these different things play in. So if this is a path you guys want to take, keep in mind that experience is the number one can't replace in blue collar. So it's very beneficial. So I'm glad we're getting to dive into this. But keep definitely in mind, this proves a level of knowledge, not a level of skill. And the skill experience, that level of skill you adapt by going through the field and actually accomplishing these things, that's what everybody's paying for, 100%. So sorry, back to you.
No,
I just wanted
good.
to caveat that.
It was definitely something that helped me get in the door a little bit quicker at different places.
Some icing on the cake.
Yeah, right. So I was glad to have it. I'm glad it's
and with the right
I did.
approach, they're like, okay, this guy's teachable. He's coachable. We can still teach him something, and it sounds like he's willing to learn by the way you're portraying your certificates, your license, your information. So I feel like that speaks volumes, because otherwise you come in, I got my master's, you're gonna have to hire me at $56 an hour, and like, you've not done anything.
Ready to wire up that
I can't
panel.
hire this guy. He thinks he knows everything. What are we gonna do with him?
I mean, even with my license, the first thing I did at my new job was dig a trench.
Yes,
I know, it's
the
crazy.
green guy gets out there. Here's your shovel.
Right.
8 inches wide.
Yeah, there's
2
code
feet down.
requirements for the trench, so you got to know what it is. You got to, and specifically for the electrical companies, they deal in like different voltages, so they have their own codes. They want us to put, like certain depth amount of sand in there and everything, right? Cover it up with specific types of rocks and
Make
stuff.
sure it's nice and packed. We don't want things shifting and breaking as the ground settles and people are walking, or maybe it's under a concrete slab and you've got major vehicles coming over the top of it. And I've seen several roads in Las Vegas where construction was done and then the ground settled and suddenly the concrete just hard dips, specifically because it seems like it wasn't packed properly. I haven't done that.
It's a little drainage.
Yeah, but the same idea. Like if they put in plumbing that goes under a major roadway, and then they come in, they pack it, and then they do their tar or their concrete or whatever, if it's temporary, permanent, and then 2 months later you see it sagging, and you're like, I don't know if that was just a tough area to pack, because I know Las Vegas has got some very interesting ground densities depending on where you go, and running into different kind of rock and sand and stuff, so I know it can be a challenge. Don't want to discredit any of our construction guys out there, but just as something that some people might have seen driving around Las Vegas, that's what happens if you don't pack things and bury them properly. You start sagging, and then the lines can sag with the ground, and now you've got broken conduit with exposed wires, and then is it a wet location? So many bad things can happen. So that stuff is very important for sure.
Yeah, it's really tough to get back up.
Yeah,
and fix it. So
you're gonna have to dig a little deeper than you did last time to fix that problem.
Yeah, then school had gotten out like just this summer was starting, so I got my job, just at the beginning of summer. So it was a pretty warm transition for me to, acclimate to that.
And what was that first job?
It was with a service company in Pahrump called Wireman Electrical.
Wireman Electrical.
Yeah, that was cool. They did, commercial service and a lot of residential service.
Mostly in Pahrump or other places too?
Mostly in Pahrump, yeah. They did a couple calls into Vegas and stuff, but I didn't join on any of those. It was nice. A benefit to that was like I was working in Pahrump, so it was really cool. Another thing I was like excited about. I got to use my new skills there locally.
That's what I was going to ask. What did you actually do at Wireman?
I guess I would be considered, like a helper apprentice type position. So, I was like digging the trench or laying down conduit underneath the houses. So there's a lot of mobile homes out there, and they have like that crawl space with that sheeting around them.
Oh,
And
don't
that's
I know
actually
it.
one of the reasons why I don't have long hair anymore. It's because when I was crawling under one of those homes, and then I went back to my home, I'm combing cobwebs and spiders and dirt and stuff out of my hair.
I definitely had, when I first moved out to Vegas,
I
I was
shaved
out
it
the
that
Navy,
week.
and I had the longest hair and the longest beard too, and started crawling into attics and stuff. It just collects, and mine was like frizzy, kind of poofy, so everything seemed to get in there. So I can definitely relate to, yeah, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Right.
we're chopping this
But
off.
help me stay cooler, and then not get hung up on things under in
A
the
little
crawl
bittersweet.
space.
Bittersweet.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Pretty much any call we got, I went. With the owner, with the journeyman, to go assist them. So like I said, it was a lot of residential stuff. So a lot of running new circuits in the house or on the property, and then replacing, things that had arced or sparked or just weren't working anymore. One of the neat ones I remember is their well, because in Pahrump we have like a lot of people with wells on their property, and their well wasn't getting power. So we used the multimeter to check for continuity, and it had shorted out somewhere. And I guess they had done some like groundwork, some landscape work out in the yard, and they had cut into the UF cable in there.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was actually, just like a better option for them to run new cable inside, and they wanted it inside PVC pipe this time.
Just a side note for anybody listening, UF cable is one of the specific cables that's actually in the code for burial.
Yeah, so you can, actually put this cable just right in the dirt without like any pipe or anything.
Direct burial, no conduit needed, no PVC, no metal, of course, or anything like that. You can just bury the cable.
All right.
So just a little tidbit for you guys.
But, they wanted to just be a little extra safe, so they replaced it with some PVC with the cable inside of it. But the neat part was, just like kind of wiring up the pump in the well house and everything.
Wet locations, hazardous locations.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a whole nother section of the code book to consider whenever you get to
we had to
those.
use, like NM flex and like compression connectors and everything.
Nice.
And it was like 240. I think that was like one of my first exposures to, hooking up like a 240 appliance, I guess, essentially.
After class.
Yeah, after class, I was like, oh shit, like 240, like this is big stuff now.
That's
Right?
awesome. Now
Right?
you're commercial.
Yeah,
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, residential is pretty cool. I actually enjoyed it a lot because it teaches you about, like your house. Like if you have a problem in your house, you're seeing all these things, and how to
Save
fix
that
them.
money. Do it yourself.
Exactly. So that was really cool to and in service, it's like all troubleshooting. Right, which is another exciting part of the trade. I feel like
At
you're really
Wireman?
thinking about it.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
At Wireman, you said, were you in an apprenticeship or were you just working as an apprentice? Because an apprenticeship
just working as an apprentice. As like a type helper.
Okay, because everybody's going to be an apprentice. You work with someone with more experience, and they teach you on the job as you're going. Everybody's an apprentice. But just so you guys know, an apprenticeship is like what the union does, where it's typically a 4 to 5 year program.
Correct.
Lots of time there's scheduled raises as you get more experience, like 6 months, year, 6 months, year kind of thing. And then by the time you're done with that apprenticeship, you're at a journeyman rate pay-wise, but you're also eligible for journeyman certification, which is that's a little different here in Las Vegas because like you did on week 9, you can go get it earlier. But as far as experience in the field, that 5th year, 4th year, sometimes depending on how hard and how long you've been working for those 4 years, if you're doing 6 or 7 days, you can knock out the hours. But typically it's around 5 years to finish the apprenticeship, just for your guys' extra little information. I know some people don't totally understand the difference between apprentice and apprenticeship. You're an apprentice in an apprenticeship, but you're also an apprentice if you're learning from anybody with more experience than yourself.
Right. Yeah. I think the apprenticeship just adds the like extra school factor.
Yeah, some extra education
going
typically.
To class, doing book work and stuff.
We're gonna learn in the classroom once or twice a week, and the rest of the time you're out in the field actually doing stuff.
Yeah. Again, definitely still an emphasis on the hands-on
Cool.
experience.
So how long were you at Wireman?
Ooh, not too long. It was pretty, like I said, it was pretty cool, just to learn about the residential side or 100% focus on the residential side. I did a couple commercial things. We were changing out some fans and some lights in the high school. That was kind of cool to go in a little boom lift, 30 feet up in the cafeteria.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Some heavy machinery.
Yeah, and then, just seeing burnt out receptacles, that's always oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah, especially when you understand what that means. Right. You're like, oh, that's dirty.
Yeah. What do you mean? They tried to turn it on a few more times to make sure it wasn't working. Okay, we'll get it fixed for you.
It's not. If you have an electrical failure, trying more times typically will not fix it.
There was actually kind of a funny incident. Thankfully, it wasn't electrically related, but we were there. This person was getting a hot tub delivered to their house, and they couldn't get people couldn't carry it into their backyard, so they actually had a crane come and drop it into the backyard, and the crane drove up on the sidewalk onto their yard, and I guess everything weighed so much where they had their tires and their braces, it actually broke the main water line right there.
So they put the riggers out, which are the poles that stick out and give a crane sturdy ground to be able to work with all that.
Right.
So one of those broke through the ground and cracked a water line?
Yeah. So when we showed up to, wire up the hot tub, there's water shooting off the sidewalk. We're like, oh, crap.
Oh, that was unexpected.
Yeah, it was we're not here to fix that, are we?
But no one got hurt or anything, right?
No, they just called the water company, turn it off.
It became a much bigger job.
Yeah.
All of a sudden. Oh, man. Oh, what an experience.
Yeah,
and you were there the whole time for that?
Yeah.
Or you just pulled up right after it happened?
No, after. When we pulled up, the water was spraying out already.
Oh, so you just barely missed watching the whole thing unfold.
We hung out there and see what was going on for a while. And it's all just, to get his hot tub delivered. But that was cool, though. We crawled in the attic, run some pipe, and get it all hooked up.
Sounds like you just had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See, attics are okay to crawl into. I mean, they can be warm, but usually, at least compared to crawl spaces, I found it a lot more tolerable.
Yeah. I'll take an attic over a crawl space, especially in motorhomes and trailer houses and stuff like that, because when you pull that sheet back and you're crawling under there. There's going to be some stuff in an attic, but it won't be near, there might be critters under there if you're going under the house. I don't think you're going to run into, any kind of animal necessarily most of the time. I'm sure there's a few instances, but most of the time there's no animals in the attic.
Found some bird's nests, but
that's
nothing ever
something
came
kind
at
of expect.
me.
Maybe a squirrel or a chipmunk, depending on where you live in the country kind of thing, but...
Typically friendlier critters.
Yeah, not snakes and spiders and who knows, a trash panda, a good old raccoon or a possum. It's just a whole new ball game when you have to go under the house.
Right.
I'll definitely take an attic over that any day.
Yeah.
The HVAC side of things, attics aren't fun, but they're still better than the bottom of the house.
Right. There's still not a lot of space in them, but...
Yeah, just as cramped, but
it's definitely still part of the trade, so just make sure you're staying safe and everything.
Oh, 100%.
I think I worked there for 3 months, maybe a little bit longer. And then I got a call from one of the other places I was applying to, because I was still looking. I had a list of places that I wanted to, I guess, get into that were my top choices, so these places I was still, actively reaching out to, following up and talking to. And then one of them reached back out to me, and that was Helix Electric, which is really awesome. Yeah, that's actually who I currently still work for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a big name even here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
Las Vegas.
It's the largest non-union electrical contractor here in the valley.
I didn't know that part, but thanks for adding.
That's one of the big draws for me too, because I know with a larger company like that, they just have larger, more unique jobs too. So I knew that they're Las Vegas based and I lived in Pahrump. So I'd have to drive, which is, something I factored in and talked about with my family and stuff. But that was like the route I wanted to take. And I actually got really lucky that the first project that they hired me for was actually in Pahrump. Yeah, so that was cool. I got to work out there still for, quite a few more months.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah. And they were definitely questionative and speculative about my license too, right? I just let them know, talk to them like, hey, like, I know how to read a book. I've been studying. Only have like a few months work experience. But, I feel like I want to be a really good fit for you guys in the company and everything. And they started me off at this little casino called Jackpot Joni's. If you're ever in Pahrump, you can go ahead and check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a expansion. So it was like a smaller casino, and then they just, wanted to grow. So they added a new building on that made it, like 3 times larger than the original building.
Okay, cool. We'll definitely have to make a trip out there, and we'll just know, like, some of this is Blue's handiwork.
Yeah, that was right my first project, so that was really awesome. I had started when the framed walls, exterior walls were up, so I was there for almost the entire time of the project, and I really got to see everything, from start to finish pretty much come together.
I bet that was exciting.
Yeah, that was. It was like really eye-opening to see like an entire project and then be able to, visualize where things will go and should go in future projects.
Oh, man, what great exposure.
Yeah, that's
was ideal right there.
And that was also a whole different flavor electrical because that was strictly 100% commercial. We're dealing with, and new construction commercial too, right? Service is all, existing in renovations. So that was really sweet.
So how long did, cause I know you're at a different spot now.
Yeah.
So how long were you doing that type of work for Helix before this new venture popped up? And then, of course, how did it pop up anyways?
Yeah, So I was at, I'd say the casino probably 9 months until it got completed. That was fun. I did a couple other projects too. I went to, like a school, Faith Lutheran. I don't know, some people might be familiar with that. They were building like a new center out there too.
Okay.
A couple of apartments. And then there was this really unique one where unfortunately the apartment community had burned down. And they were starting construction again. So I went there as part of the cleanup crew and just to kind of see like what's still salvageable or what needs to be thrown out. And that was like a unique experience too. There's just, especially being like new into the trade, like being exposed to all these different things just, felt really new and exciting to me. Yeah,
demolition's always a fun part.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry too much about stuff. Some things need to be inspected and the rest of it, just make it gone. Right. Have some fun. Bust it down, break it up, make sure it ends up in that big blue bin.
There was 4-inch EMTs that had melted from the fire.
That's crazy. Right? They melted?
Yeah, and then the stuff underground was still, or we were checking to see if it was still good, if it needed to be replaced. So we had to clean out all the conduit, and it's just packed full of, just all the
soot and then melted conduit, and then probably insulation that melted copper that turned to slag. Oh my god!
And that was something like I guess I never expected to do as an electrician.
Yeah, there's some perspective, some things that you see in the field that you don't really realize is part of the job until an opportunity arises, and then you're like, oh, no, this is different.
Right.
I'm used to finishing things, not expecting them to be broken, and how broken are they?
And that's cool. When they started rebuilding that, it's an apartment community, so I got some more like new residential exposure to that too.
Nice. And you said you did it a little over 9 months.
9 months was at the casino.
Oh, right, because this was this. How long were you on that project for Faith Lutheran?
So Faith Lutheran was the most recent one I did before changing positions in Helix. I believe 6 months there.
Okay. So you were with Helix roughly 15 months, year and a half-ish, would you guess, before this change happened?
Correct. So I had Helix offers their. So you mentioned like the apprenticeship program, right? There's like the union one through IBEW. There's a non-union one through ABC, Nevada. I always recommend people trying to get in the trade just sign up for those two. It could be a really long wait before you hear back from them. So, might as well just get started on that now.
Yeah, get a job while you're waiting. Don't sit around and wait on the union to pick you up for any reason whatsoever. Go get a job. That way you're getting experience. That way you're building a resume. And then you've got more to offer the union, so it's going to be more likely for you to get picked up. So don't just sit around and wait. It's your career. Get out there, get it started, and then work on the union as a side project, which it's kind of how it worked out. You got a job, and then the union picked you up in a way later. So it's kind of the same approach. You started the career, you started getting experience, and then when you switched to Helix, that's when the apprenticeship kind of thing came in, union-wise?
Actually, it's non-union. Helix is a non-union company.
Right.
And they started offering their own apprenticeship program. I was like,
sweet.
That's cool. So I got signed up for that as soon as I could. And then when the next available classes started, I joined in with them.
Cool.
And then about at the start of the new year, I was really enjoying the classes, the knowledge, and all the training. And I was talking to the recruiter. I was like, oh, well, this is cool. I was kind of curious, like, where I would go from after being an apprentice. You usually get promoted to a journeyman. Mm-hmm. Or you don't have your license yet, like an unlicensed journeyman. You mentioned a lot of people do that because they don't necessarily need the license. But I would still also agree and highly recommend that you get your license as well. But I was talking to the recruiter. I was like, so, where do I go after a journeyman? He was telling me, like, a few different options. There's, like, leadership roles out there. They have, like, specialization roles. You could do, like, a low voltage thing or a solar thing. And then he also, briefly mentioned, like, some engineering stuff they have in the office. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I just kind of, like, thought about it and was asking more questions about it. And I was like, I think that's something, I probably want to try and work towards eventually.
Especially since you had that background you talked about of already generating digital images through other programs starting back in high school, and then that 11 years you spent doing basically the same, right?
And so I asked them, I was like, hey, what do you guys require for, those types of positions? Because I was thinking, I could, maybe after the apprenticeship is over, I could start, working towards that. And it came up in conversation that, like, oh, we have some of these positions open. You should go talk to the department heads over there. And that kind of led into, me getting an interview, me talking with them, sharing my background and knowledge and everything.
And that's where it came out.
Yeah, the opportunity came up, and they offered me a job.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I still work for Helix Electric, but I work in they call it the BIM department, Building Information Modeling.
BIM. And so what exactly do you do now then?
Yeah, so it's really cool. So my boss, I like the way he describes it. It's pretty similar to what I would do in the field, just on the computer. So in the field, you're pitting up conduit. You're installing J boxes, you're pitting hangers and stuff. But on the computer, I'm just pitting up the conduit, pitting the J boxes, pitting the hangers up there. So they're actually, being modeled in 3D space. And that way our guys in the field can know, the best routes or the best types of and how much of the materials to use. And then they can, see this information or print it out too, so they know where they can place it.
So would you say it's a digital job site? You're kind of building out the job site digitally so you can pass that information over to your electricians in the field.
Yeah, definitely.
So they can pop up schedules, diagrams, different kind of pictorials, I'm assuming, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So it's cool. And then just like in the field, we work with all the other trades. So essentially the general contractor, will start up the job, and then usually the architectural guys will build up the walls and the framing and everything, and they'll send this 3D model to all the other trades. So, the plumbers get this model, the electricians get this model, the mechanical get this model. And then we start putting all our stuff into it. Like, I'm going to run my pipes, put my panels here. We're doing all this in 3D space. And then all of us get together and we join everyone's models into one. And then that's when we start arguing, like, hey, I want my shit to go there. I want my stuff to go there. Just like in the field, right? You're like, hey, man, I put my pipes there. Or he's like, hey, I got to put something there.
So the argument starts way before the field.
We're just trying to get ahead of it.
I've seen the field side where, you've got a shaft that's supposed to be for ductwork or for a chimney or something. And then the electrician comes and runs cables. And it's just like, that's not what that's planned for. You have to move that stuff. So I've heard those job site arguments, but they start in the office before they ever get there.
Right. And I think that's, the whole idea behind BIM is they're trying to, get as much of that resolved ahead of time.
That way there isn't that job site problem.
And then there's always, like, I guess the legal fallback, like, hey, these were the prints, you didn't follow this, so you have to move your stuff out of the way. It causes
we
less.
agreed on this previously,
right?
And then you deferred from the plan. Go move it.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that.
No.
Remember all that work you just did? Yeah, undo it.
Right.
And then go do it again. That's almost like military.
Move your stuff 2 inches to the
now that you moved the dirt pile, move it over there.
Yeah, and that could be a lot of work, unfortunately. So.
Oh, yeah. I think undoing things sometimes takes more time than doing things.
Right.
So that's dang.
Now it's been a really awesome transition that came about, I think 2.5 months ago now.
Okay.
So,
would you say the diagrams and schematic portion of the program helped you with what you're doing now, or just because you already had the background in some of this stuff, you were prepared for it?
Oh yeah, anything to do with interpreting blueprints, and the schedules was very important to it. Is definitely going to be helpful.
And you picked that up in the program?
Yeah, because I remember we had a lab to go over the blueprints.
I just wasn't sure if you'd had something to do with your previous modeling, reading blueprints and schedules or something like that.
I feel comfortable with it previously too.
So you started familiar, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I took the Helix offers more classes there too. Just to keep their guys trained up, which is awesome. So I took blueprint classes.
Once again, you're treating it like a career. You don't go home and be done. You're still out there learning as much as you can, as fast as you can, it seems.
Right.
So I'm so excited to see what you do even further.
Because even though we're building in 3D space, a lot of times we're referencing still a 2D piece of paper, PDF or whatever, right?
And then you flip the page, and there's a zoomed version of that to take you even deeper, but they're always two-dimensional.
It's like, what's that circle, with the X going through it,
This is a side view of it.
Yeah, you might have to go back and look it up.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you really enjoy what you're doing now?
Yeah, definitely. And I still get to do it with the same company.
Awesome.
When you're searching for companies, a lot of them on their website or in person, maybe just like with the schools, right? Look like the best thing ever, trying to portray themselves.
Which is what marketing is all for.
Yeah,
so it's doing its job.
I would just definitely recommend, especially if you're in the field, find somewhere with a really strong safety culture, right? And I always felt really comfortable at Helix about that.
That's good.
So I didn't get to experience that at a lot of other companies because, Helix was my second electrical position. But, if you don't feel safe somewhere, definitely like maybe think about applying at some other places or something.
Yeah. You don't want that extra stress.
Yeah, I got my hard hat here. They make us wear, gloves and
yeah, so even though you're making documents and schedules and all these complicated things to pass out to the field, you still have to have your own PPE 100% of the time, especially if you show up to the job site.
Oh, yeah,
you still have to put on all the stuff. Yeah. You might be the cleanest guy out there at the time, but you're still wearing the protective equipment.
Might get my knee pads out for old time's sake.
Just to walk in them, just to feel like you're part of the field again. Which you're at a deep side of that field, so that's exciting. That's very exciting, man.
It was cool. Enjoyed it a lot.
Good.
And they let me stay in the apprenticeship program because it just, has a lot of knowledge to it of what we still do now, codes and distances and
That's
measurements.
so cool. I didn't.
Yeah.
So you got to move laterally to be to work in the BIM department,
Correct.
but they're also allowing you to continue your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
That's
Since
so
it's like
awesome.
an in-house thing, I can go there, just keep studying, keep brushing up, getting more
Oh,
information.
they're investing a lot of you.
Yeah, it's definitely going to, it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's good for longevity though. You see yourself with this company for a while?
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned, there was places that I specifically was trying to obtain, and this was one of them. So, want to be here for be with them
accomplishment
for a while.
achieved.
Yeah.
And then you just went so far with it.
Right.
I imagine they value you very much at this
Right.
point with what you've brought to the table and everything you've got to offer, which is probably why they were so quick to let you switch to another department and then also continue. That sounds like you've got a really good thing going on over at Helix, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Not that I'm trying to put Helix out there or anything necessarily, but at the same time, if that's the story, then that's great. Let people know that this could be a good company that they could aspire to go work with, whether they're coming from Pahrump here in Las Vegas, down in Henderson. There's lots of different options, and you found yours.
Yeah, whatever you find, like I said, just make sure you're staying
so
safe.
Exciting, dude.
And they were trying to keep you safe too.
Yeah, I love seeing how far you've come, man. Meeting you back in class and everything. Yeah, it has, and I'm glad you've kept in touch. You've definitely not been a stranger, which I love when our students aren't strangers. Come back, see us.
It's cool to see you guys in your growth too.
Oh yeah, we're growing right alongside you, kind of in a different way, but still, growth is growth. Growth is fantastic. So, dude, I am so excited for you. I'm so excited to see where you're gonna go. Hopefully, we can get some more of our electricians over there at Helix and get them working with you and other different departments as we've got more of the new generation coming through our school and graduating. We got bigger classes. Not like necessarily student wise, but our student body itself has grown. We've got more classes offered. We're getting more people in seats more often. So we're out here doing it, man.
Right?
Just like you're out there doing your side. Our school is currently, even with these podcasts, is a whole part of our growth and what we're doing. So it's excited that I can grow with you, even though I'm in a completely different part of the field as the education side. But the fact that our business and myself, because I was an academic coordinator whenever you came through, and now I'm the academic director. So I just think it's so fun.
That was a cool title change too.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so much fun what my school has offered to me and the growth that I'm allowed as our company grows, and then getting to see previous students, our graduates, not previous students, our graduates like you that have gone out and you've got your own growth. You're doing successful. I'm just so excited for all this. I'm so excited for you, man. This is awesome. This is absolutely awesome.
All right, we'll have to see how much changes the next time we do the podcast.
For sure.
Well, you always told us, quiet mouths don't get fed.
Closed mouths.
Yeah, right.
Closed mouths don't get fed. Yep. 100%.
I always like that. I thought about that. It's just put yourself out there, talking, training.
So, I've taken a lot of your time now.
You're good. It's been fun.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it for sure, which is why it's been going on so long. But we're definitely, we're coming a little bit to a close here. We're running out of time. But real quick, I want to ask my curveball. I warned you.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes. Here's the thinker. If you were going to give advice to, even if it's just one person watching this video, if it's all of them, great. But if it's at least one person, if you were going to give advice to somebody watching this on the fence, not sure, considering career change, maybe they're fresh out of high school, maybe they've been out of high school for 11 years like you, and they're like, can I really go back to school? I don't know if I can do it. What would your advice be for one of these prospects?
My advice for someone, huh? That is a pretty tough curveball you threw out here.
I told you it was coming.
I guess I would say just try it, do it. But, something that really made me push over to make that decision was just getting that exposure, going to those schools to, tour and check them out, going to the companies, talking with people in the interview and stuff, and having that, gentleman come over to my house and show me, just how awesome and efficient that he was at the trade, that really that turned my life around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So maybe talk to a trades professional that out there that's doing a good job and they're successful. Get their perspective of what they're doing. You doubled back 100%. Do your research, and it sounds like what you're saying is if you guys are uncertain, if you're on the fence and you're trying to make a decision, go look. Go do tours. Go get information. Don't just sit at home and do research. Actually show up. Go see the labs. Get that experience.
Listen to these other podcasts.
Yeah, of course.
They have a lot of information in them.
Of course. Check out our Instagram, our Facebook, our podcast here on YouTube, and feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Keep us on your radar as we get more very interesting, fun individuals that are either currently going or have previously graduated and gone off to do great things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a little bit of different advice out of everybody. So as you guys start getting new podcasts to watch, new shorts to watch, I hope we're reaching out to these questions that you guys have. I know some of them are difficult. These are big life changes. You're changing your entire life for a career, which could change your home life. You're changing your education. There's a lot of things that go into this, but the words of encouragement. Get out there, start looking at schools, do some tours, gather that information and see if it's for you. And if you're starting to think that it is, go for it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Even if it doesn't pay you, you can save money, which is indirect pay. Saving money is almost as good as getting paid because you're not losing anything, right? But you guys, it's a skill that can last with you forever, even if you never get the job. Some people do it for a hobby, right? But so if you guys are listening, again, keep up with us. We're putting out a lot of content. We got a lot more podcasts coming. Check out our Facebook page. We've got some funny shorts and less serious stuff that's just interesting and entertainment. We've got lots of advice coming out, lots of questions that we're trying to get answered. That way, as you guys need these questions answered for yourself, you can dive into our social medias, and hopefully some of that get some motivation, get some answers for you, and gives you guys that push. If you really want to do it, if you really want to take control of your own career, turn a job into a career, then this is a great place to do it. Thank you again for your time, Joseph Anderson, a.k.a. Blue, or as his hard hat says, Azul.
Azul, that's right. I know that name.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming all the way from Pahrump to spend this almost 2 hours with me.
Yeah, already.
I know fun. That hour drive here and hour drive back, but I imagine you're learning something the whole time. That's just my perspective of you, is you're always trying to learn something new, and I think that's fantastic. And you guys do the same things. You guys can be just as successful, get your own slice of the pie.
Right.
So thank you again. I greatly appreciate you being here. I don't think I can say that enough. Thank you to all of our audience out there.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in and listening to what Blue has to say. My side of things, I know some people have seen a lot of me on social media, so hopefully you're not getting tired of me just yet. Right. I'm trying to keep it fun. But definitely, if this is your first time seeing a short or our podcast, then feel free to jump over to Facebook, jump over to Instagram, and share that love. If you've learned something, or if this was even just entertaining, good information for you guys, or if it's the motivation you need, please share that love back. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Let's get this information out for more people to answer more questions. We need a lot of tradesmen coming, and there's a lot of tradesmen leaving a lot of places. So if you're thinking about it, come on in, do our tour, reach out to us, and let's give you the same experience that everybody else gets as they come through, so you can make that good decision for whatever your career may hold for you guys. So last time, thanks again, Blue. Thank you all for listening. And until the next episode, we will see you in the lab.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Trades Ready with Quality Training Center. If you are interested in getting ready for the trades and looking for the right school for you, go to www.qualitytradecenter.com and schedule a tour. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend interested in the trades and subscribe.